Okay, I don't know why Z-Dog's latest live is hitting me so hard, but he talked about the way we judge things as good or evil and how that's just in our minds. You know, like Rumi said, out beyond concepts of right doing and wrong doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. There's a resonance with this. But during a time of genocide and galloping fascism, and people spitting venom at me for simply caring about Palestinians or caring about democracy. And they think I'm spitting venom at them for simply caring about Jews when I'm not. I'm not insulting them at all. I'm saying this is what's happening and here's the documentation, and they think that's hate speech. They think I'm brainwashed. They think the entire UN is brainwashed. They think so many things that don't seem true. But what do I know about whatever I might know or think I know about relative truth, right? I know nothing about ultimate truth. And I know I've been stuck on this since the beginning of the channel and before, long before. And I keep kind of talking myself into the same, what I think of as roomy wisdom. And then I get right back into the fray and I see what's happening. And it's really hard for me to say to both sides a genocide, for example, to both sides fascism, for example. I mean, any basic reading of history, any basic understanding of humanity, but again, relative truths, right? Sometimes people need to work through shadows, bringing the filth into the light. Sometimes a planet needs to work through shadows. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there's no happy ending. Maybe there's no grand design. Maybe there's no glorious dawn. Just a crucible that finds some relative stability and then gets perturbed and goes kind of crazy, and then finds some new stability and then gets perturbed and goes kind of crazy, and finds some new stability and then gets perturbed. Maybe that's just how it goes. And it's when you think about John Brown, or you think of Harriet Tubman, or you think of Rosa Parks, or you think of Gandhi, you can argue they made a difference, but you can also say they were surfing a wave of millions. And they just happened to kind of, their conditioning and their fate, as far as, just kind of what happened, put them at the right place at the right time. Probably I mean, I don't know, maybe it's something that they dreamed of since they were kids and they aimed at all their life. Straight arrow, straight shot to their place in history. But they couldn't have done it alone. None of them could have. They had to have a wave to surf, and that wave was this resonance among millions of people. Maybe they shaped the resonance with their resonance to some degree. But even in that case, the resonance has to come first. Is it conscious, unconscious? Charging straight ahead, never looking left or right. Whereas people like me, it's like, I got to game out all the scenarios for the entire universe so that I know my next step is the right one. That's how you take no steps, I guess. But yeah, like I mean, you have the resonance of the Dalai Lama, for example. And I wrote about this in my book too. I have a kind of frustration about Buddhist monks. It's like, oh, you just sit on your ass in India and laugh. What about your land? What about your homeland? What about your people that are still there? And then I hear about Buddhist monks in jail who find, in brutal conditions, they find the biggest. Or I've heard a story of at least one coming out saying, I was so afraid. And they said, oh, were you afraid of the beatings, the torture, the lack of freedom? He says, no, I was afraid that um, I would manage to stop seeing my captors as human. And that's a resonance that can drive your captors into a rage. Because nobody wants to look in that mirror. So even resonance is no guarantee of anything. Whether you're the god king of a religion or a grunt being beaten in jail. You don't really control that. It just happens how it happens. Or I think of Thich Nhat Hanh burying the dead and rebuilding villages after every American airstrike and singing. Did that change anybody? Was the point to change anybody? Maybe the point is just, live your own integrity as well as you can. And that's that. The rest is out of your hands. First step is finding your integrity, finding your alignment. It's so tough for me to give up on fixing what's out there. It's so tough for me to focus in here, which is probably still stemming from There's a belief that this is not enough. Whatever I actually am is not enough. So my soul keeps leaping out of my body, trying to. And I know I sound like a broken record. And that's okay. Some things stick. Some things are sticky for whatever reason. If you have any suggestions for how I can let go of good and evil and just experience what is without judgment, because I can see how I would relate to people differently and in a better way if I could do that. But it's just stuck in my body. So, no, you're a bully. Haha, now I have a chance to get back at the bullies. It's so, and I know it's childish, and I'm not beating myself up about that. It's just an observation. Just trying to be honest. Honesty comes first. Now I can beat all the bullies and make everyone safe and happy. That crazy belief. Does not want to die. Maybe it's because there's something I need to do, or maybe I am just stubborn and childish. Or rather, there is stubbornness and childishness still expressing. Maybe I go there. Take care.